In fighting, there are 5 ranges you need to get good at. These 5 ranges take you from outside, inside, all the way to the ground, and then come back out. And these 5 ranges you need to get really good at, and you need to be able not to just be able to dominate each range and fight in that range, but the key to everything is be able to transition from each range flawlessly, from outside to inside, to ground, and back out. There are certain fighters who are really good at 1 or 2 ranges, but they get in trouble when they go from one range to another and they're unable to transition from one range to another or back out. So you see this a lot when a fighter is just good at boxing, but when they get into clinch work, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to break away. Or they're good at striking, but as soon as they get clinched up and taken down to the ground, they have no idea how to get back up. Even still, to this day, after 30 years of MMA, we still see people who have a hard time of bridging the gap from one range to another. Not dominating one range, but transitioning from one range to another and then coming back out in order to execute the game plan again. These 5 ranges are that you need to get good at. You have your complete outside range. This is outside of any striking range where for you to land something, you have to step into a specific striking range, or someone else has to step in. In this outside range, nothing happens other than you have to cover distance. So you cannot land a strike from here. And this is kind of like your safest range, and this is where all fights start, in the outside range where no strikes can be thrown that will hit you. The second range is the kicking range. In the kicking range, all you have are kicks that can reach your target. You have your front kicks, side kicks, you have your roundhouse kicks, rear, front, doesn't matter. Only kicks can reach your target, and that's your second striking range. No punches can reach from here unless you step into your third range, which is your punching range. In the punching range, you have your straight shots, you have your extended hooks, uppercuts, and then coming in knees from distance. So in the punching range, you could throw kicks, but they're not as effective because you're too close. This is where you need to start throwing your punches, your straight shots, and hooks. Your fourth range is when you come in close, into clinch and tie-up range. So in this position, in this range, you have kind of 3 different things going. First, you have in close fighting, where you're just executing your shots, which are your hooks, your uppercuts, your elbows, and your knees. Then you have your clinch range, where you tie up, when you grab onto someone in order to still fire some shots, or just kind of get closer than in here, in close. So tying up, you have wrist control, you have head control, you have tie up the hands. And then when you start tying things up and you're no longer striking and you begin to move your hips closer to your opponent, you begin to transition to tie range. So the in close range has 3 different aspects to it. Outside, kind of like slightly outside striking, but you're still in close, clinch, and then tie up. And that's when you transition into your 5th range. That's when you go for a takedown and go to the ground. So when you go to the ground and you start grappling, that's your 5th range, and that completes the full circle. Now, each of these ranges, your kicking, your punching, and then your tie-up, clinch, and in close, as well as when you transition into grappling on the ground, each of those is almost like its own discipline. And too many guys just focus on one, and they fail to go from one to the other, be able to transition flawlessly and fluently from kicking to punching to tie-up range to grappling to takedowns to throws, and then coming back out. So in order for you to start flowing from one range to another, it all starts with the bag, punching bag. Then you have your mid work and pads, and then of course you have your sparring. Sparring is important because you can incorporate grappling, throws, takedowns, and then coming back out to striking, punching, and then to clinch and in close fighting range, all together at the same time. So since we just focus on the bag work, when you work in your bag, you want to periodically introduce working all these ranges at the same time. You do not want to start all your training sessions from here, stand in one spot, and just throwing. throwing shots, straight shots, hooks, knees. I see this all the time. Guys just train by just standing in front of the bag. They just wail without any focus, any deliberate attempt of methodically striking, or no attempt of entering certain range and then back out. So what you want to start introducing into your bag work is you want to start outside striking range, and you want to start moving in and out from all these different ranges. So you can be right here outside striking range, then you can start coming into kicking range, then back outside range, then come in, back into kicking range, punching range, closing into the in close clinch range, tie up, then break away into punching range, and then back out into outside range. So you need to flow from one to the other so fluently, and you should be able to land all different strikes depending where you are. So start training this. Start working the bag where you utilize footwork, work around the bag. Come into striking range, throw your shots, back into kicking range, kick, outside range. Come back, punching range, and then come in right into clinch range. Work your shots inside, clinch, elbow, knee, break away, kick, outside range. Begin to incorporate all different aspects of fighting, all different aspects of range into your bag work. So when you work the bag, begin to introduce, I'm not saying all the time, but periodically you want to start training flowing from outside to kicking to punching to in close punching, elbows, knees, into clinch, into tie up, and then when you have an opponent, then you can introduce the grappling, takedowns, and throw range. So you can introduce all those 5 different ranges into your training. And then also, not just being able to come in and just kind of strike, but you also have to be able to move out fluently in, working different ranges and out. And that's what's going to make you a good fighter. Flow from one range to another and back out.